Check. I think so.
It's on. It's just like little. Let's see if we can get it up pointed at your face. How's that?
That works. Yeah.
Okay. Can you guys hear us? Okay.
Yeah, check Bryan.
Check.
You don't want to lift into your shirt.
All right.
We'll give you a little bit more juice. Yeah, just talk natural, and I'm gonna give you a little bit more power.
Natural.
Just yeah,
Yeah.
as natural as you can be. How's that? It's not too bad.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Just don't walk in front of that speaker. We'll be good. Let's go feedback. Okay. Well.
Awesome. Yeah, I figured we'd just start with kind of seeing where you guys are at. Like, first off, everybody, I'm assuming, goes on social media. First off, who checks social media like in the morning? Even though you know you're not supposed to. Right, yeah. It's good.
Oh, by the way, maybe I should introduce who this guy is over here. Really happy to welcome to one of our first few guest speakers here. Bryan is, besides a good friend of mine, he has built a really successful online business through using social media and monetizing social media and, kind of getting out to an audience. And his company is Surf Rat Glass, as you can see up there. And really happy to welcome to the stage Bryan Ratcliff.
Awesome. So, let's see. Fingers in the air. How many different platforms are you guys on? Let's just go like kind of the basics of Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. So some 2s, some 3s, some 4s. Awesome. Recently, as we've heard recently that like possibly TikTok would get shut down. It's interesting to see that they also have the lion's share of user hours, which is pretty crazy to see. It's really happened in like the last 3 years, and that shows how fastly evolving this space is. Like, what was something before may not be something tomorrow. And so that's why it's really important to like start paying attention now, check trends, and constantly be learning. And that's what we'll be talking about a lot in here is like skill stacking and constantly learning has been a huge thing that's helped me take advantage of trends and things when they happen in social media, because it's happening and changing so fast. You can't really rely on what was happening before. So, constantly being learning and paying attention pays back in large dividends. So.
Yeah. Hey, Bryan, do you want to maybe like talk about your journey into building your online business and, kind of how it happened for you and what that journey looked like?
Totally. So, I got my BFA in ceramics in 98 or something, and I was like, sweet, this is awesome. I can like make stuff, and I started blowing glass at the same time as well, making pipes and other things, and that was when it was pretty kind of hush-hush. It was for tobacco use only or whatever, and so right away, I was living in Gunnison, Colorado. Right away, I was like, oh, this is cool. I can like travel and stuff, so I moved up to Canada right away, actually, from that one, which was crazy. I lived as an illegal alien in Canada for like 8 years because I could like make stuff and sell it, which was really cool. And in the beginning, I actually did start a website way back then, but it was a lot harder to build a website, and like payment processing and sending and showing off things was much more difficult. Right around that time, actually, like this guy, John Ashcroft up in the government, his kids ordered some smoking items, and he got really pissed, and like that's when Tommy Chong went to jail, and he like basically went and arrested a bunch of pipe makers. So I took my website off, I changed my name. I still lived in Canada illegally as an illegal alien, living on vacation for like over 8 years, which is interesting.
It's a nice vacation.
It was a nice vacation. Vancouver, BC is a really cool place. I recommend everybody check it out if they can at some point in their life. It's really neat.
Cool.
Okay, so from there, moved back down here to the States and recognized that I wanted to sell things online and also to stores, but we're so fortunate. When I lived up in Canada, I recognized that like they have the population of like California. So we're so lucky living in the United States because we have this huge amount of people that we can sell to without really a lot of sales tax issues, without borders to like confiscate things or have problems or to have, make things not go through. We have this amazing opportunity to like sell things and to monetize ourselves in North America, especially the fact that like, we're the blue jeans, we're everything, and so a lot of trends, they look at United States and that's where it starts. So we're really lucky for that. And then we'll kind of skip forward. I was making pendants and other things, and right around the time of the pandemic, I recognized that like the consumer base was really shifting to like a buying online and like absorbing and consuming a ton of social media because there was nothing else to do. And all of a sudden it was like very okay to buy online. So over the past 10 years, like buying online has gone from something that's kind of sketchy and who knows to like super normal, and everybody is willing to invest in brands that they see online, invest in like smaller creators and support them. And it's a huge shift that we've seen, and I think it's something to look for and try and take advantage of. So
Yeah, so along those same lines, what social media platform did you first start kind of putting effort into, and how did that kind of evolve to the present day?
yeah, so I first started with Instagram when that started. I did Facebook as well, and a little bit of that, and was on forums and other things, but once Instagram hit, did that, but I noticed that I was almost a little behind the wave as far as like, big fish, small pond, or whatever. The pond was already pretty big. And so I saw TikTok kind of pop on there, and I was like, this is weird. And I'm seeing some different things, and TikTok's algorithm is different, and honestly, I think a lot of the social medias are now going to start copying it. But I saw that like certain things would pop off, and it was really early in that, but I like had a few videos that were even just screen records that like went crazy, and I was like, whoa, this is nuts. Like, and what I think TikTok has actually kind of figured out is that, it used to be you'd get your 5 minutes of fame in life or whatever. Well, TikTok's going to give that to you in 15-second increments, and they feed it to you like a drug. So it's really crazy in that like now TikTok has figured out that not only do they want, they have the lion's share of people consuming media on their situation, but they want to keep creators creating on their platforms. So they almost artificially give you a ton of views sometimes. And it's been a really awesome way to build my brand, because they will like, if a video hits and it tickles the algorithm just right, they'll push it really hard, and it can really help you build your social media platforms. So
Now, if I remember right, back when you were using Instagram a lot before TikTok, did you use any like ads or any kind of sort of way of boosting, your fan base? Because I know like in a lot of social medias, when you start out, it's really hard. I've got, no subscribers and whatever, 50 likes, and you can pay for ads, you can get bots and things like that kind of help kind of push you over up into that threshold where you start getting, things that are more sustainable. And
yeah, I was trying some different things back then that I don't think work exactly really well now, but I think a big thing is like following a lot of people. If you follow somebody, they're more likely to follow you back. They'll see what's on there, and if you follow somebody in your genre, also commenting on things that you like and putting fun comments. Like if you comment on a viral video and your comment is interesting, a lot of people go straight to the comment section, and they'll be following back even off just comments. So you're getting your brand out there in different ways by interacting. Let's face it, we've all gone through an interesting social experiment where at one point nobody saw everybody's mouth. We weren't really smiling at each other. We weren't like engaging, so we were engaging online. So a big part of engaging online is comments and then commenting back. And that's a big part of my social engagement as a thing. So when somebody comments on one of my posts, I'll always comment back as much as I can. Not only does it increase views, and then that tickles the algorithm more and it pops it into more people's eyes, it's also just a way, like, that's how we interact socially a little more now. Like, I think that there has been it may not be a permanent shift, but it's been a bit of a shift for us socially.
Yeah, so I guess one of the ways, if you're looking to kind of build your Instagram account and try to like get more subscribers, followers, you just kind of, follow some other people, make some comments and likes on some of their pictures and start that interaction, and more than likely you'll probably get a follow back from that
Yeah, definitely a maybe there. You know, we're going to talk about DMs too, like direct messaging people, positive things, kind of being like, I mean, you can make two choices out there. You can be like a positive force or you can be a troll. We see both those things out on the internet. I personally have been trying to do the more positive approach. I mean, sure, you can, there's trolling out there too, but I think those people are going for attention in a little different way. They're not building a brand necessarily or anything like that. Yeah. I do think that, you know, still the TikTok is the best way to feed into an Instagram page or a YouTube page at the moment. I do see people do, and you know, there's my rules, I've always seen them broken too. Like, I'll have what I think is right, and then all of a sudden I'll be like, oh, well, I see this person build it completely off Instagram, no TikTok, completely off YouTube, or even Facebook. I've had some, when Facebook started doing Reels, I had some of those Reels go like push into the 5 million views as well, and I don't know if they were trying to follow TikTok's form of algorithm or whatnot, but it was interesting, and you know, I think it's important to have like a multilateral approach when it comes to these platforms.
Cool, cool. Do you have like a certain strategy, like when you post? Do you post at certain times? Do you try to keep your videos at a certain length? How do you edit them? Maybe talk a little bit about your approach for that.
So first off, you guys have seen how, and a lot of times you'll be scrolling through, whether it's Instagram or TikTok or other things, they'll show like 2 seconds of other videos. I think it's important to have something really interesting in the first 2 seconds, something that engages, something that confuses you, something that makes you want to look at it. So industry standard when you're editing videos is to have a new clip or a new shot every 2 seconds. And when we watch movies and other things, our movies are compiled of 2-second clips. And that's basically what we've been trained our attention span can handle. And you know, in a multi-ADD lifestyle, we're all looking at 2-second clips, and that keeps people into it. I like to have a really simplified background. I don't want to have it like really noisy with a bunch of things in the background. If you know, if somebody's filming in their dirty bedroom and you're like looking at their clothes as opposed to like them or their instruments or whatever, I like black because I find it more soothing to the eyes. Some people choose white. It depends, but I like to have something super simplified as far as the background goes. As far as posting times and what you're going to be posting, this is really interesting. So how a lot of the algorithm works is you want to be posting, you can look at your followers if you already have a bit of a following, or you can kind of imagine when people are coming online. Like everybody said they go on in the morning, right? So if you can catch people in the morning, that's going to kind of tickle the algorithm to wanting to share your video to more people. So if it's a morning post, I do a lot of coffee posts. Coffee goes well in the morning, right? Somebody's going to like that, and they're going to be more engaged, more likely to share it too. So if somebody shares your video, that's going to be like a huge boost to the algorithm, because especially on TikTok. So if you notice on TikTok, you only share to a person directly or to Instagram, which is a really cool thing to go cross-platform promotion. So when TikTok sees that 2,000 people shared this to Instagram, they're like, yeah, we're crushing the competition. Not only is it an advertisement for TikTok because the little watermark's all over it, it shows that those people are actively cross-engaging. So that's a really big one for the algorithm there, and that's been really huge for me. And again, like my little thing goes on, so that right now is my TikTok account. As you can see also, see how these little animated things, so having something engaging in the very first bit of your video. So I made a mint mocha in that center one where I'm stuffing mint down there. These are all kind of confusing or different. I made a cake in one, I'm dripping cake into there. So with my cups, I'm really trying to keep it on brand. These are the things I make and I'm selling. They're slightly confusing to people because it's like marketed towards the smoker's market, but they're actually just cups. Which also helps me in my payment processing, because selling certain things, you can't really sell them through PayPal or whatever, but if it's a drinking cup, I don't have any payment processor issues, which has been really big for me to be able to make sales at 2 in the morning or whatever easy off my website. And yeah, with TikTok, it's interesting. I've been playing around. Like before I was posting early in the mornings, but if you guys notice now on Instagram, you can schedule a post. So that was good and bad. It like made it so there was more competition at certain times. So I do follow different like social media coaches and different things, and some of what they say is totally applicable, and we'll go through some of those accounts. But you'll want to like kind of post it when you, because you can only schedule it I think on every 15 minutes or something, so you kind of want to be in between there. Think about prime time for TV too, right? Like TV doesn't put their most important videos at 3 in the afternoon, or their most important shows. They have them at 7 p.m. because that's when people are like done with dinner and they're like ready to consume some media. So that's been a great time for me. They usually have them on Thursdays at 7 p.m. And that's still true, like even HBO's dropping good shows and other things. And another thing to add to that is a lot of people are consuming 2 forms of media at once, right? How many people have watched TV and looked at their phone at the same time? Show of hands. Okay, so you're usually doing that with the volume off, right? So that's why it's important to have, you know, if you're talking in your video or singing, or you want to get something, a message across, it's important to have that closed captioning in there. And to be putting that in the middle of the video as well, so it's not covered up by, you know, the description at the bottom or other things, so people can read it and it's more engaging and they can consume it even if they're consuming 2 forms of media at once.
So that's built into like TikTok and Instagram. There's like a closed captioning button you can press, and you can slide the text to be wherever you want it. It's
They
pretty
do
easy.
both have a program, and you can also do that on like a third-party thing as well.
Yeah. So, you know, when you make videos, how often do you post? And maybe talk a little bit about like how do you edit? You know, are you using computers and software? Are you using your phone? Like what's working for you?
Yeah, I mean, this can be really time-consuming. A big thing that happened for me was basically, I was like, look, you know, I have a computer. I don't really know how to edit videos that well. And a big jump for me was like getting a newer phone. And so this is like the 13 Pro. So last year I bought a new phone. I jumped from like the 8. And it was huge as far as like, I decided, look, I don't have a ton of time. I'm gonna film it all on my phone. I'm gonna film it all horizontal or vertically, not horizontal, so that I can take up all the space, you know? Like, here's one that's just kind of recently happened. Obviously, I'm filming that straight on the phone. I'm editing straight on the phone, and you know, combining these clips quickly. Almost, you know, you want to make somebody watch it a few times, and you want to have like multiple clips, so they're like, wait, what was that? And so it runs over and over. Also, when they go into the comments, it's still running. So the more people engage in the comments, the more views you're getting, the more the algorithm pushes things. So I'm going through, I'm filming things. Let's see, I'm going in and like cleaning up some of my values as far as the video goes. In there, this is kind of cool. I don't know if you guys noticed, but you can now like press and hold. Let's see if it does it. Why is it not doing? Oh, it's because it's a video. So on pictures now, you can press and hold and kind of like move things around, and it like cuts it out.
Whoa.
I don't know if you've seen that, but that's like a new iPhone function. But let's see, if I go into a video, I am editing right on the phone. As far as I'm pre-editing my videos, and a big one I do is black point. It just helps. So this is what it looked like normally, and black point just helps clean up the black screen for me. Again, just going to the blackest black possible. It's a little more soothing on the eyes, or if you want to bump up saturation or other things, it's a little more in the 3D realm, but it could help as well if, say, you were recording in front of like this black curtain background or something like that. You want to clean it up a little bit, other things like that. Having a newer phone helps that go a lot faster because of the processing power, especially if you're filming like in 4K or whatnot. And then when I edit on the platforms themselves. I'll usually edit on Instagram because that's what I'm most comfortable with. And so when I go and create a reel, I will personally pull my audio in first. So if a lot of you are audio students and creating audios, And I showed one recently with Dave, but it's doing film. If you're doing audios, I choose my audio first and I edit my video to the audio. So I can like drop edits on the beat or try and find good parts to like match in with the audio when I do the video. For me personally, to keep people engaged and have it like a multi-engagement platform there or whatever. And so having a sweet audio out there, that can really help push yours. And when you go through and look at the different audios, I don't know if you guys, I'm constantly saving audios. If I go through and I like somebody's video, I'll save the audio.
You can save the audio off of someone else's post?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So when I go to my audios, I'll look at my saved ones, and these are all originals, which is cool. And they're usually like a little bit off of whatever another person has done, or an original audio. And recently, after traveling to Germany and trying to do some cross-promotional stuff with a German glass-blowing company I worked with, I didn't realize that in other countries they're super limited as far as their audio, so they can really only do these original audios because they don't have like access to all the music. So around the world, there's like different access to different music. So by creating a viral audio, maybe mixing in something else. I mean, you guys, I don't know the laws on using other people's like edits and cuts and different things like that, but you can get like worldwide distribution in different ways through doing that. So yeah, I'll go through and I'll pick one of my audios and then I will edit from there. I like to keep my stuff under 7 seconds. I find a 7-second video is pretty average. Now, like I said, everybody can break the rules. I'm seeing over a minute TikTok starting to push. TikTok also has let's see, we'll go to the TikTok. So if you notice when you're scrolling through TikTok, you have your following, the people that you're actually following, and then the For You page. So I will have like, is an interesting one. So, and also people are going live, right, all the time. But I'll have, the For You page is really interesting. Hey, look, they know I like tie-dyes. So, For You page, that's like my first hashtag I use on every TikTok video because for some reason it's been working and it seems stupid. Like I'm gonna put For You page as my hashtag and it's always gonna go to the For You page, which then helps me get like viral videos. And I just saw some other people doing it and I was like, it's that easy? And kind of is. I do like 3 hashtags. I do 3 hashtags and the first one is For You page, and the second one is my like what's in the subject, and then the third one's for you, and I don't do anything else because the more confusing I make it in my videos and my things, the more people engage because they want to see what's going on. So if I like line it up for them and give them all the answers, they're not going to engage, they're not going to ask questions in the comments. It's not going to create community in that respect. So that's interesting. Also, something really interesting to note is once you have an account that's kind of rolling along, if you notice, it's like quite a few views. Okay, so at the top I have my pinned ones that have done pretty well. And then you see it's like quite a few views, like 400,000, 14, 3,000, 1.3 million. So it's like almost one every 4th video goes pretty well. So that goes back to that like fake push, that push that they give. And there are a few things I'll do to line it up. Like I like posting on Sunday afternoons. Again, that's you're calling your parents, you don't really have anything to do. Maybe you're avoiding doing some homework that you need to do. That's another thing. Take advantage of procrastination. We know people are procrastinating.
Yeah.
So why not manipulate that a little bit and like think about it, Sunday afternoon people should be doing things, but instead they're on social media. So hey, that's a great time to post.
Do you post every day, or are you on like a certain couple day schedule? Or I mean, I know for your videos they're really short, but maybe for how important is consistency in regularity with your posting?
Right, I think it's important to be somewhat consistent, but again, you want to have quality content out there somewhat. Sometimes with TikTok, I see people will just like, they'll film like 5 edits with the same person. pair of clothes on, and you'll see that, and they'll just blast them out, knowing that only the one out of every 4, 1 out of every 10 is going to hit. So they're not putting a lot of effort into all of them. Me personally, I have to like make the cup and all the stuff. So I make it. Some mornings I'm like pulling it out of the kiln, making the drink, editing it, trying to post before 7:30 in the morning. It's not very easy, but again, so back to that question, I will post like I said, I like Thursday nights, I like Tuesday mornings, I like Sunday afternoons. I've kind of figured out when my audience is consuming and what has worked for me, and 3 times a week has worked well for me. I'm trying not to make it overwhelm and make it boring, but just enough to kind of feed the beast and keep it relevant and keep my brand out there. I see other, it all depends on your capacity. You don't want to like burn yourself out on this. You want to make it kind of fun, but keep doing it. Again, with TikTok, like you have to keep feeding it to allow, they'll be like, oh, okay, they're like a drug, like let's face it, social media is kind of like a new form of drugs, and they're like a drug dealer kicking down a little bit of free whatever, some free views to you every once in a while. And so you got to keep going back, keep creating content, and hopefully if you post it at the right time and it gets seen by people, it'll start, it'll tickle the algorithm to where it'll do something for you.
So it kind of depends on your, like the rhythm of your content creation and your work.
Yeah.
For me, like I'll make videos that are instructional videos, and I can only do it when I have time, time to edit it and time to like shoot it and script it and do all the stuff. So it might be a week or 2 before between each video. And I imagine for, all the various different modalities and different, creative processes that people have, it might look like a daily thing or a weekly or, bi-weekly.
Yeah.
So
if you can break things up, if you're filming something bigger and you can break it up and pull out some of the more interesting or confusing or whatever things you want to see if maybe it's going to hit or people are going to like it, post little bits out there. And it's a great way to do promotional for maybe a YouTube video that you have going on. Post the juiciest part. Post like the big part at the end. If you're a chef and you're making recipes, like they'll show like the finished product and then boom, then they'll show the recipes on how to make it. So so you're pulling, you've got the hook, you hook that fish, you pull it in, and then you're reeling it in through there. So.
I like that analogy. You mentioned skill stacking earlier. Like, what is skill stacking? Maybe you can talk a little bit about what you mean by that.
Yeah, we were chatting recently about like kind of like that Renaissance person. And just kind of learning a bunch of stuff. I mean, I think getting decent at social media is all about like constantly learning. And you guys are here, you're learning, you're already proving that you like to learn. And being decent at running a business or successful at running a business, which I've been both sides of it, you need to keep learning. And so skill stacking is an interesting way to kind of frame that, where it's okay to have hobbies and go through different phases and different things. I worked in coffee shops, I worked in restaurants, I like outdoor sports, I'm a mushroom hunter, like whatever you're doing, keep learning at it, and then you can bring those things in when you create your social media approach, and it can be interesting to people. I didn't realize that like making coffee, that when I worked at Starbucks, like all those years ago, would actually like have this beneficial thing for me down the line. And what was interesting was like originally I was like, oh, well, I'll post snowboarding videos, but it didn't really have the attraction to like glass and cups. I used to actually do little scenes and draw mountains and things, so that was cool. And that kind of had that thing, but also getting decent at something that has a broad appeal, like making food. We all eat, right? So food videos, and we'll actually go through and I'll do a case study if we have time, showing a musician that has songs and he has a puppet in his videos and he makes food. And so you're like hitting it from multiple angles, right?
Yeah.
This dude named Good Boy Noah, and he has some ridiculous videos, but like he's definitely gone viral. And I'll find him on like Instagram or something because people are sharing through their stories and that's a much more consumable thing. But then I'll look and be like, I wonder if he has a TikTok. I'm like, oh, yep, that's where he blew up. Like, that's where he got the motivation.
So imagine if you are doing the skill stacking thing and you're into various hobbies and interests and you kind of maybe incorporate that into your social media brand, whatever that may be. Sometimes you can connect with like a different audience of people, like people that are into mushroom hunting, and all of a sudden you've got all these, mushroom hunter folks that are also into like glass art and pipe culture. And so yeah, I guess what you're saying is if you kind of share your personal interests a little bit on the social media, you might connect with like people in different ways. There's more kind of avenues for connection.
Possibly that. Another thing I learned interestingly about like brand development and stuff is like your posts, like the actual posts you do, especially on Instagram. So like your posts are on brand, except for maybe that snowboard one I put in there. But your stories can be whatever you want. So that's a great way to be like consistent on brand with your posting, but your stories can like kind of flutter around. And so that way it's less confusing when you look at somebody's page. You go, oh, I know you're this guy that makes these mugs and cups and unique drinkware, and here's your website and I can buy them and whatever. But you might have stories that are all over the map, or you're sharing something from somebody else and other things like that. So that's an interesting way. So if you are bringing in other interests, like from the skill stacking thing into your posts, it's usually incorporating, still pushing that same brand. For me, it's the glass. For you, it could be whatever it is you want to sell. And let's face it, your journey through life is gonna meander and go all the way around. Where you think it's gonna be might not necessarily be where it's going. And so, listening to your customers, seeing what works, and then being present and ready to take advantage of a situation. Because you may get that 15 seconds of fame and you might be really distracted at the time, not able to take advantage of it. If you can put yourself in a position to be able to take advantage of it when it hits, it's gonna, it's gonna be a lot more fruitful, and you're gonna actually, water that plant and make it grow. So.
Yeah, I guess like monetization is always kind of a tricky thing. Like even if you do have a big following or you have that 15 seconds of fame, how do you transfer that into a monetized sort of income stream? And maybe talk about that a little bit.
So we'll talk a little bit about makers, and then I'll kind of brainstorm on other ways. But obviously, I feel very fortunate to be making a product that I make my videos about. For me, it started with the product, and then I learned how to make videos, and that's what got fame. Like that's what did well, and then that's how I make my money. I also was a part of the Reels bonus program. That was awesome for a bit. Like, I know that there's monetization in a number of different aspects through like YouTube seems to be one of the biggest ones as far as like paying per views, but it's a big pond, right? Like it's hard to get that, but that's where you can kind of funnel it through other social media. If you have a good TikTok and then you have a decent Instagram and then you have a YouTube, you can like funnel it that way. So you can get paid for views. You can also obviously have like a Patreon or something like that. And OnlyFans. Originally, OnlyFans was for like sports people and other things, and obviously it's for different things. It's for a lot of things now. But you can have an OnlyFans. You can have a lot of these other things to make money off of just your videos. You can sell a product. That musician guy that makes food, Good Boy Noah, I noticed he does like hot sauces and other things. So you could have a website. I really like in the past. Okay, so when the pandemic hit, I was mostly selling to shops. I was like, okay, I'm not really going around selling to shops, and people aren't really buying from these shops, and I'm recognizing that they're not doing it right. Like they're stuck in the old world of we open a store, people come in and we sell it. Whereas selling on the internet, right? Like, so I use a Shopify account. I really like it. It's like $30 a month. I can have as many products on there as I want. People buy things at 4 a.m, like expensive things. And like it's crazy when people shop and what they buy. I do drops, a really cool thing. So it's like scarcity is an interesting thing. And so you can manufacture your own scarcity through drops. So when you drop a product, you build the excitement, and then so say it's hot sauce or t-shirts or whatever, you put out a limited amount, and then you control on the website how and when you sell them and where they go out. And you can make your drop sell out artificially if you want, so that in the second drop you motivate people to buy right away because they go, oh, you know, I wanted one, but it was sold out, so now I'm going to buy it right away. I also do my drops to the 15th of the month. Think about when people have money. So, you know, we live in a country that's kind of month to month for a lot of people, students, other people. Also think about who's your buying force. Like, people without obligations spend their money on random things. So those people get their money on the 1st and the 15th. So the 1st it goes to rent. And as somebody who always sold to head shops, I recognized that they were paying their rent and their employees on the 1st. So on the 15th they had money to buy stuff from me. And that goes with like the population as a whole. I'll drop things on the 15th. People have some spending money. I'll make sure it's kind of limited. And we're so lucky, again, living in this country where you have this like 50 states to sell things to. And also, we have like, it's really easy to send things all over the world too. Like my Shopify is set up to ship all over. I've shipped to Germany, like Hong Kong, Australia, England, like shipped all over, and you just take the money. And we're so lucky that when we buy things, we actually pay a very low amount of like duties and taxes, whereas they pay a lot. So that kind of sucks for them while they're buying stuff. But again, like there's a lot of things that I don't like about. You can always pick things that you don't like about a place, but we are very fortunate to live in this country that I learned when I lived in other countries. So.
Nice. Yeah, so let's see here. Maybe we talk about some of the case studies that you brought up.
Let's go with case
and
studies.
kind of get a broader understanding, because, you know, I think this is really helpful for folks that are selling like products and stuff. But if you're a musician or, you know, some sort of artist in that realm of musical art, like, you know, what are you seeing being successful? What are some pathways?
It was a very interesting one. So again,
towards monetization.
I mean, I'm making little things into big things and confusing people. This is another way to confuse and engage. And I mean, look at how many likes that got. I'm assuming that's over 1 million views. Just because
all slow.
You do one thing doesn't mean you can't get engagement from another thing, especially if it's within the genre, right? So this was a really interesting one. This also a very interesting one.
We need the sound on for this.
The guy's like, oh great, so it plays guitar better than me as well. And this dude I've seen blow up. Connor Price, he's a musician, he's from Canada. Again, very small country, not a lot of buying force, but because he's utilizing Instagram and TikTok, he's actually much bigger on TikTok. He does a really cool thing where he'll spin the globe, contact through DM or whatever another musician in another country, and like work together on a song. And so he is honestly one of, I mean, 1.5 million on Instagram. I think he's at like 5 million on TikTok, which is pretty big.
29 million right there.
Yeah, so I mean, he's got some huge ones, and he does. So you guys can film a whole video of just yourself in different like outfits and stuff. So you don't need other people. It's very interesting to create this thing. So see how he's creating his studio environment, and he does funny things where he'll have his like weird brother making a carrot flute, and then all of a sudden it'll like totally go in, and he brings the beat in. He's not even creating a whole song. He's just creating first something to confuse you, something to bring you in.
It's about the process more so than the song.
It is, but it's also the song. And then so he creates this interesting video, but he's also become like pretty big star. He's touring, he's monetized. So obviously the big, if you want to do that, touring obviously makes a lot of money. It's interesting though, because like you're building like a 30-second song, but then you have to create a real song over it. I don't know if you guys realized or noticed, a lot of the like New Year's celebrations, I noticed that a lot of the music was all TikTok artists off the like younger focused New Year's concerts and stuff. Like it's clear that a lot of recording artists are getting big on TikTok, and it's an interesting space, and also Instagram too. But and he's a great example of that. And if you look at like the views on his stuff, I'm sure he was monetizing through the views. He was probably getting some good stuff. Like I had a video that hit like 6 million views, and when Instagram was monetizing their reels, I got like $800 that month. That was pretty cool. I know that YouTube is more, but harder to get those views. But it's, I believe, to monetize a YouTube video is like 12.
It's like 1,000 followers and 10,000 watch hours or something like that.
Okay, so you have to hit that, and then you also like the video has to be a certain length so that they can throw ads in there.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a really interesting case study, also really big on Instagram. This guy, super cool. Notice like his background. It's like you look at it like a performance. He obviously has access to that, but dropping the cymbal into water made like a really cool noise. And he's an interesting example of it. It's not huge, but he's had quite a few videos go off. Looks like he got a brand deal with Liquid Death, so that's pretty cool. It's water, which kind of goes with his theme. He does some really cool
What a
stuff
name
like
for water.
playing these wood boards. So let's see, he's monetizing. He's a band director.
Does he have a website up there? Like, do you think he's selling merch or doing some sort of exclusive content,
looks like he's
lessons or something?
selling volume 1. So he's selling his album, and you can buy it right there. So obviously you guys have a way to monetize that as well. If you put together something that someone can buy to follow along, that's another way to monetize through SoundCloud, I believe, as well as another spot.
Yeah,
Apple,
yeah.
I don't know what it takes to get an Apple Music. And other
It's
ones
not too
like that.
bad. You
But-
just gotta,
So-
use one of those services that get you on all the streaming platforms.
Yeah, so I avoided learning how to do good videos and photos for a long time. And that was, every time somebody would get one of my things, they'd be like, oh, it looks so much better in person. I'd be like, oh yeah, it's because I'm filming it with a potato. And so like, it,
You mean
yeah.
iPhone 5?
Yeah, iPhone 5 for a long time. It's so convenient.
It's so small. I like
Yeah.
the small iPhones.
So, that last piece, and now I don't consider a piece completed or finished until I make a video with it. I went out to Germany, made some pieces with a company called Ruhr. I brought them all the way back to the United States to film them and make them, and that was part of that was to be able to travel and write that off, right, and get paid during it. And as a musician, you guys can do that really easy too, which is pretty cool. Like you can fly with a guitar, you can fly with, mixing tracks and other things like that. And a lot of that was accomplished through the power of the direct message. I don't know if you guys, not only do people share videos a lot through DMs, just like I did with Dave here. So a lot of people will be sharing your stuff, but you contact other artists. And like, I've worked in South America and done stuff, Germany, Italy, it's all over the United States, and had opportunities where I'm just contacting artists through direct message.
Mm.
It's like think about it this way, who likes to check their email? Not, kinda.
Have
But
to.
if somebody messages you through your drug, like this platform or whatever, Instagram, that you're a little more attracted to, you're much more likely to read it. So you're more likely to contact people, not somebody with like 1 million followers, because that gets a little overwhelming, but you're more likely to be able to make contacts with other fellow artists, other fellow musicians that aren't too overloaded with DMs through a direct message. And it pops up real quick on them. They'll maybe already be on social media. So it's a really great way to talk to people and to reach out. And again, if you're like positive and nice and engaging, eventually they'll like say something, or you can be like, hey, I'm like randomly traveling to your area. Like, I don't know, like, are you playing any shows? What would you recommend? Or like, if you know them better, you can always give it a shot in the dark. And you basically really want to like not be upset if they don't follow through. 'Cause yeah, but like, it's kind of like you're going to throw a bunch of things out there and see what sticks, and not be upset when whatever. And it just might not be the right time for them. You have to be really understanding that everybody has a lot of crap going on that you don't know about, but maybe it might work out. And so it's been really cool for me to be able to travel, meet other artists, sometimes make some money or other things, and through social media has been a huge one for that. And then again, that is another way to build your account, is to do collaboration posts, to possibly somebody even just tags you in their stories or other things like that, or you tag them in your story, and then they repost that. And so that's another way to get your name out there, is through that kind of networking through direct message.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, the access you have with the DMs and social media, like you can directly access like some famous, star social media person.
Or
And
somebody
they'll
who's
probably
booking
interact
your
with you
head.
because they're motivated, because they interact with all their fans, and that's how they've built their brand, and they're addicted to social media. That's why they have so much success with it. So you can kind of this unique situation to be able to reach out and maybe create some collaboration opportunities.
Especially those like middle of the road people, under 1 million followers or whatever, because it gets too much at some point. But like if somebody's like still building, they're still, trying to engage with their public and be like nice and whatever, and you can get that vibe when you look at their page where they're at on that. That's like probably the better one to approach, but hey, shoot for the stars, see what you can do, and don't be upset if it doesn't work out.
Nice.
So we're gonna look at some more.
Yeah, if you got some more.
Yeah, what have we got here?
Do some
This
Q&A
dude is super
eventually.
interesting. Traffic cone sax man. I don't know, has anybody seen this? He's definitely editing stuff. This is his most famous one. As you can see, he just popped into a restaurant and started playing. I love how the sax sounds when you stuff a traffic cone in there. And he just blasted into that. He advertises for his band. He even had some controversy where he went into a yoga class and started playing it, and people were not cool with that because they didn't want to be in the video, and he tried to take it down. So controversy was an interesting thing that advertising worked for him. But he's a very interesting case study. Still at only 351, which is huge, honestly. That's enough to do a thing. So a lot of people will do these. So this is a great thing. He's advertising through all these different things, so Apple Music and other things where you can. And then this is his band. And he is. Somebody that lives in the United States but was born out of the United States, but it's pretty cool to see that American dream type thing happening for him, and all because he walked into a burrito place and played his traffic cone sax, just blasted out, and it was the right place, right time. Other people took that video and re-edited it and remixed it and made really cool edits from that. That's another thing I'd really like to talk about. It's very rare in this space to come up with something completely new. Don't wreck yourself on that, because honestly, often when you come up with something completely new, it's so different that people can't connect with it, and it doesn't catch like wildfire. A lot of times it's a remix of something that people already know. I mean, obviously we see remix and covers all the time with music. You take something that people already have connected with and know or like, and you remix it a little bit in your way. That's basically what I've done with my glass. I've pulled things that people already think they know, and then I'm making it in a different size or shape or whatever, and so I have that connection already with the audience there. And so, you're standing on the shoulders of others a little bit.
I see a lot of those videos where people take a viral YouTube video, and it's some kid talking or some kind of thing, and they kind of use the rhythmic aspects of it, and they edit it, and they kind of compose a song to it, and it's the split screen view. I see a lot of that stuff taken off.
Another really interesting one. Let's see, we had this one, call to action. So these days, like and follow. Everybody, please like and follow my work. Call to action is pretty interesting. You see it in YouTube, and I think it really got popularized in YouTube. And a lot of people now will do that more in the beginning of the video, or to say, hey, if you found something you liked from here, if you got something out of this, please like and follow. It could really help me out if you like press that little button or whatever it is. But I mean, here's a call to action right in the front and center for this guy. He's just playing like a little rhythmic guitar solo, and he's had these like, you know, he's humbly kind of doing real well. Like, he had quite a few videos that did pretty good. You can see like he's got his 3 pinned at the top that hit 1 million or over 1 million, 7 million there. And everyone has a call to action right on it. So I mean, don't be afraid to ask for things. You know, look at the way he worded that. It's humble, but he's asking, and you know, it's not desperate either, but patiently waiting. You know, like.
It's kind of like the folks that like you can hire to write a love song for your girlfriend for Valentine's Day. Yeah, there's a lot of people doing that. It's like, pay me $400 and I'll write you a customized song.
Yeah, so a lot of people like this is something that you would talk over. So if you're like talking and narrating, you'll also have music going in your video. This would be a great way to do that and then utilize his thing. So to save or whatever these videos. You can tap in there. So that's to save it would be this little top button up there. Did you see that? That's where people would save them. You can send those audios, and then also another way, like when people will use these audios, you can see who's using them and all the different videos. So like that's how. If you're just making audios, you can see who's using them. Another thing, you know, utilizing the DM. If you make an audio that you like, or a video you like, or whatever, don't be afraid to send it to a few people, and say, hey, if you want to use this, that's totally awesome. You know, that's another way to generate more views.
Are we looking at Instagram now?
We're still looking at Instagram, yeah.
Okay, so
yeah,
the if you're a music composer, people can just click that button and they can use your audio.
Yeah, so you'll see the audio always scrolling across on the bottom. Same with TikTok, it'll have audios. TikTok's a lot of like a lot of lives too. You know, I've seen a lot of people utilize live as well, almost more so in TikTok, because again, when you go live, it'll push it to people in this For You page that you've never seen. So this looks like France or something like that. Late at night, but you know, go live, engage with your audience. It's good practice. You can build followers that way. There was this kid that I followed for a bit that was going live playing the piano blindfolded, and he was a savant. He is a savant, and he also does like Rubik's Cube, and it's pretty amazing to see what he could do. So it also kind of gets you used to performing in front of an audience a little bit as well. And it's like kind of closes that gap a little bit. And then sometimes you can actually save your live and then pull parts of that and create a post from that as well. Or you could post the whole live, or you could pull little parts from that live. If you're like, dang, that was really cool, that right there. I want to make a post from that. So.
You want to do some questions?
Yeah, do some Q&A.
Some Q&A.
Can you always get the audio from a video, or do you have to do anything special when you're posting it so that people can take that audio?
I believe you can always.
That seems really relevant for this group.
Yeah, see if you can steal my audio.
Yeah.
Because I imagine if it's all online, it's all traceable, like you should get some sort of royalty compensation for that.
You had that list of audios that you had saved, Brian, that it had the names of where you got them from.
Yeah, so look right here. I could take Dave's audio from this one and save it and use it. So anybody, and it's usually, oh, sorry. So, excuse me. So here we've got Dave's audio. So you can see Gypsy Dave 81 going across the bottom there. I clipped one little thing next to the thing, and so usually it's from Reels. right? So that's another thing about Reels on Instagram. When you click in and watch someone's reel and you bring it full screen, then when you scroll up, you're just scrolling through Reels, and they're always suggested ones. They're not people you're following. So posting Reels, even though they're trying to bring back some of their like carousels and photos, video, and obviously like, you know, since you guys are putting out audio and video is probably the best way to get yourself in front of more ears and eyes. So, so yeah, that's that. Let's see. So anybody that makes an audio for their reel, you can then, somebody else can then use it, and then you can take that video and DM it to other people and say, hey, if you want to use this, here it is. I thought it might be cool. Usually having like a really good part of your audio within the first 2 or 3 seconds, so it gives something like editable, whether it's like dropping a beat or something really interesting or confusing or a really neat sound effect. Pretty important.
The hook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To bring them in.
Any other questions?
Yeah, let's do some questions.
How would you suggest developing content strategy as like someone who's just starting out?
I play around with it a little bit. With TikTok, you can like start multiple accounts, right? So like I have like 7 accounts on Instagram, and so I just like hard press on this top one. Let's see, I do press the arrow. So there's multiple accounts with Instagram. With TikTok, you can have a couple different accounts too. Play around with it, see if you can get something to catch fire. Sometimes, especially when you start TikTok, they give you a few views in your first few videos that you post as your account. Like, they sprinkle a little of the magic stuff on there for you. Put a little salt on it, see if you like it. And so, you know, if you don't hit it with your first account, try again. Most people fail in their first 3 businesses before they have a successful business. You keep trying, you take what you've learned. You know, it's really important to learn from your own mistakes, but it's even more important to learn from other people's mistakes or their successes too, right? So
It's a lot easier.
it can be a lot easier, yeah. But your own mistakes are the ones that really sear in there and they really learn them. So having multiple accounts is an interesting one to play around with. Recognize that if and when you do go viral, more people will be wanting something on brand from that. So hopefully it's something you like to do or whatever, but you know, you can always try and reinvent yourself and do different things. Play around with it, really work on, you know, putting that hook in there in the first 2 seconds, keeping it consumable so that it can get multiple views. In the beginning, I think for me, it's been important to have shorter videos. I've seen people break the rules with that and do like really long videos. I don't know if you noticed there's a trend on Facebook videos where they like just drag on and you're expecting something to happen and they just keep doing this thing, and in the end it's not even that spectacular, but they drag you through the whole video. So there's a couple different approaches for it.
Doesn't sound fun. Drag you through the video.
Center?
Is your website set up through Instagram, like through the Instagram shop, or is it set up through like a separate entire website? Have you noticed if either of those work better than the other?
So I have gone, we'll go to my website, Shopify for me, because it's been really awesome to, I've resisted paying Instagram any real money because I figure once you start paying them, they're just gonna look at you like money. I'm set up as a creator there, so I create videos and I'm bringing people in to the platform and they're making money off me other ways, where I don't want to set up as a business necessarily or whatever, because I feel like that would stifle views, and you know, all you would probably be creators as well. So then what I do is I really like Shopify as a thing. I just did a drop on the 15th, Saturday. It's great because you can go straight to it. Like I said, I pay like $30 a month, and people can buy, they have, you know, PayPal, or they have their own payment processing platform, and then when people buy it, the money goes right into my account. I can print out postage. They give me a deal on postage. It really streamlines that whole thing, especially as a one person running a business. Like, I need to make it as easy as possible. Another reason I do drops, not only to build scarcity But like I can only handle that once or twice a month. So
But you could link it if you had like a Wix account or some other, DIY website service. You could easily just put the link up in your
yes.
bio, right?
So
Is that where you
everybody
usually
gets
put it?
a chance to have like a link, and sometimes people do a link tree, but I feel like that waters it down. I would almost rather like change where your link's going to depending on what you're pushing at the time. If it's to your drop on your website, do that. If it's to your Spotify or your Apple Play, I would do that in the beginning. After a while, if it's like overwhelming and you have a lot of things, you could do a link tree. But I find like sometimes those don't work or they're a little glitchy, and you need it to work right away because otherwise somebody's just going to keep scrolling or whatever. Like you have to capture, it's like a dollar falling from the ceiling. Like if you grab it and you get it, you got it, but otherwise it's just going to flow over there. So,
Yeah, someone else is going to get it.
yeah. Any other questions?
It's kind of tying into what Magnus was asking, like, how many of us probably have our own personal account?
Mm-hmm.
It's got like a video of our dog and our cat, and in my case, my kid, and like what I made for dinner the other night, and it's all over the place, right?
Yep.
So,
I have one
how
of
do you
those.
start? Yeah, that's what I was encouraged by, is how do you start? It sounds like your recommendation would be to start by making some additional accounts and committing to a strategy.
Totally, right? Like, so and they're trying to, I don't know if you heard about this, like, they went from paying people to getting paid $15 a month because, so I do, my partner's sister works for Facebook, and like, she's worried about losing her job, and they've been firing like thousands and thousands of people. So they made a bad choice of trying to go to the metaverse and whatever, when in reality they probably should have been banking on AI and other stuff like that. So they're losing money. So they want, because I have my own name on this one, they want me to get meta verified, which is kind of interesting. Oops, sorry. And so yeah, I would say have multiple accounts. Try and build an on-brand one that's a little less confusing. And then you can always cross-share those into your stories if you want. And then from the people that are on your own personal account, you can push them over and say, hey, if you want to check out what I'm doing professionally, here's my other account. And it's just a lot less confusing for the consumer, because when we look at something, it's a lot easier for us to go, okay, that's the band, that's the label, that's whatever the brand is, and then that's the person, and it's easier to kind of separate those in the beginning because we can only absorb so much. And so I think make it easier for people and keep it on brand. Yeah?
Do you recommend getting verified ones if you're paying for that algorithm, or is it just a waste of money?
Originally, they said it would help the algorithm, but then they said they're not going to. I have a lot of friends who do like auctions on Instagram, which they say you're not supposed to, but they sell a lot of things that way, and that is kind of that whole scarcity thing as well. Like if you don't get it, buy it now. Like they're selling marbles and other things in auctions. But they have a lot of scammers, and I had a few scammers too. I never do a giveaway as well. Like me personally, the second you type the word giveaway in your post, like Russian scammer bots come flying in and swarm on you, and then they create like, they'll create like an underscore at the end of your same name or post or whatever, and then they'll go in and direct message people that maybe are even commenting on your stuff, or they were like coming into my comments saying, hey, you should buy it here. And they even created a website. And so like it creates all this instability there and like confusion, and people get ripped off and stuff. So I never say giveaway, but that is maybe one reason to do the blue check mark if you already have an established brand. I have been hesitant, also because they want you to basically have a picture of your face in the profile photo and your name in there, whereas like I'm really trying to stay on brand, and I'm not really trying to market myself. I will do a few videos with me in there or something like that, or if I won an award, I'll show the picture where I'm holding something. But in reality, I'm not the star. I'm trying to make whatever it is I'm pushing the star, and that's for my thing. It may work for others, but it's also like another $15 charge, right? This racks up for people, and it gets kind of crazy if you look at like all these different $15 charges. And again, I kind of went from that thing of like not paying or getting paid. Like I try and keep the money thing out of it with social media so they don't count on that, because it would be weird. Like, I don't know. I did actually run at one time so that my partner's sister, who works at Facebook, had like free advertising money. And so 2 years ago, during like the height of the pandemic, she was like, hey, well, I'll like run an advertising campaign for your thing. And like, it didn't work at all. Like, I was amazed at how bad it did.
Was that through Facebook?
It has to be done through Facebook, and you
Okay.
connect your Facebook to your Instagram account, but it was all advertising on Instagram, and it's been so much better for me to create good content versus advertise with mediocre content that I was amazed at how bad it did. Like, they weren't very good at putting it in front of the right eyes. It wasn't getting clicks to any websites necessarily, and it may be better now, but like, it was interesting. So.
Hmm.
Let's see.
Yeah. Any
other questions? All right, what's some more questions?
So I've heard that like as a musician, it's important to like kind of identify what your ideal listener is and what your kind of demographic is. Did you ever go through that process with your business, and how did you do it?
I did, at some point, like, I used to make pendants that looked like a little road going into the distance. And I called them like road trips. And I was like, okay, so my ideal person is somebody that that likes like going on road trips and driving and different things. And so it did kind of pigeonhole my audience a little bit. And I felt like at some point I was like almost catering towards that. I think it's important to listen to your audience, and when you start developing that, and like sometimes the teacher appears in other aspects, and so don't pigeonhole yourself too much, but having like broad appeal is really a great thing too. Like a lot of people, like say spring's rolling around around on the clock here in the seasons. It's very easy to connect with people with something that everybody's experiencing and feeling versus if you really like lizards, right? Like there's a few people that really like lizards, and that's going to connect to a few, but like that broader appeal and those emotions and stuff is a great thing to tap into if you want to. Also, you can kind of take a multilateral approach, right? Have one account where you're like, oh, I just make songs about this. And then one is like, this is my personal stuff of how I'm feeling, and this may not appeal to everyone, but this is what I like to do as well. And you can take two approaches and kind of see what works.
Yeah. Sounds like a lot of experimentation.
So like when you like, I guess, let's say you have like a page or something like that, or it blows up, and or it's like it's blowing up, it's doing it right, and like after like a month or something like that, when you start to stagnate, what is your like process to like create something new? I guess like do you have like a process for that?
Well, first off, like I have a notes page on my phone, and I'll constantly be writing down different ideas that I want to do. So like sometimes like inspiration strikes at the weirdest times. So try and capture that. Write down when inspiration does hit, like what your ideas are, so that you can keep kind of evolving and coming out with something somewhat new. Another way to do it would be working with other people. So some collaboration posts or other things to see if maybe you can like capture a look, because that like brings something new in as well. Putting out quality content helps. So some diversification, but like following on your brand, and again, those kind of call to actions too, like being like, you guys are super awesome. I really appreciate everybody who shared and liked and commented on this video. If you could hey, I'm patiently waiting for people to use this in their next video or whatever. So that's one way to try. Any other questions? Does anybody have any case studies they want to pull up, any accounts that we could look at, or like think of different things? Or we can also go through and like look at. So like for this one, you want to have like it pretty, plain or whatever. So your name and what you do. So if somebody's like searching digital creators or whatever, that's going to pop up for that one. A couple of the different things that you like, and then a website link is what I'll do. So this one, I have artist in there, which is interesting, which I didn't think I had that, but you can go through and play around with editing your profile and having, I like emojis. I still think that's a great way to connect with people. Even if somebody comes in that doesn't speak English or whatever, they can still see a few different things. There are translating sections in there, but having, and I have a logo up there. I feel like logos are interesting. Some people say, like, so the little top left, the SR, white and black's not bad, you can read it. A lot of people use yellow because, like, I don't know if you noticed, but like a lot of logos are yellow because they pop out. So if you're on somebody's live and you're commenting, like, you can see the ones that have a yellow background more than other ones. So like even what colors you use, things like that help with how you get seen. You know, I'm directing people to a website for me to try and monetize that situation and like just explain what I do.
Cool. Well,
Oh,
feel
you guys
like-
want to look in, so you can see your dashboard metrics too, which is kind of interesting.
oh, they have analytics up there?
Yeah, so TikTok has even better analytics where they're showing you like how much of your video people watched, which is really interesting. Like a lot of my most famous ones, they watched like the first 2 seconds and they're like, but they saw it. And so the blue in there is people that follow me, and the white is people that don't follow me. So that's kind of interesting. I've gone through all different like spots with that, bonuses. So there are a few different ways to monetize. One is like they're doing this gifts, like people can give you gifts with, which is like money, I think. They're rolling that out worldwide. Again, it's kind of a way for them to not have to pay people, but still have creators make some money because they are trying to keep people on their thing.
So where are you inside of Instagram to access this information? Like the
For me, this is like right is the professional dashboard, and also like how you are set up. Whether you're set up as a creator or a business, that all means something. I like to set myself up as a creator because I'm working for them. Then kind of right, like I'm creating videos to try and bring them into their platform. And so I feel like that gets more views. Let's see. So the saved thing's kind of interesting. You can go through and look at all the different audios or videos you've saved. Sometimes if I like a video and how it was set up, I'll go in and save that video, and then I can either use, if somebody edited it on the site, then you can actually use how they edited it to piece together your video, which is kind of interesting. There's like a wish list and a few other things, but definitely like the audios. You know, I've saved a lot of them. At one point I thought they wouldn't let me save anymore. But like every time somebody saves your audio, it's gonna boost you in the algorithm too. So you can put a little hand and be like, save this audio. And you know, especially if you make it with that in mind, if you want to do that, that's one way to boost yourself in the thing. And you know, just because you do well with one thing doesn't mean you can't make money or create off of a different aspect of it too. So learning how to try to be successful or to at least get more views in one aspect is going to help in another. Let's see how TikTok does theirs. They seem to have their analytics right down here with this more data. And so you can see like the retention rate. So after about like 6 seconds, so it's a 6-second video, you can see it like by 6 seconds in, only 50% of the people are still watching. Whatever, I get it. So that's why it's so important to have that hook really early. That's a 6-second video, and most people can't make it past 3 seconds. Like, I get it, but yeah. Total playtime with that one, 660 hours. So I mean, it's a 6-second video. So it shows you the consumption rate on TikTok of what's happening here. Like people are like really absorbing it. You can see that 2,270 people shared that one, and then 2,000 people saved it. I think shares and saves are both pretty important. And then look at that, traffic source, the For You, 98%.
oh wow.
So like those aren't my followers that saw that. I have 155,000 followers, but they're all seeing it off the For You page. Even if they follow me, they'll see it off the For You page. and it just kind of shows how TikTok is like steering that and manipulating and controlling it through that. So it's weird, it's interesting. It's very interesting how they're running that, but they've figured out something for sure. And they're also about to have like a STEM section, so it'll be the people that are following you, STEM, and then the for you. So I think they're trying to
STEM as in like science, technology, engineering, and math.
Yeah. So like educational videos, even if it's your process of how whatever you're doing could get in that category, and as they roll that category out, they're going to give special preference to that too. So that goes with that like constant learning part, or if you're like, oh, I know they're rolling this out, they're going to give special preference to this. So if I hop on this little trend right now, I can generate a lot more views and maybe some traffic.
So we're about at time. Do you have any parting words of advice before we wrap it up?
I would say keep trying. Just keep swimming, keep trying. Like and keep learning. So I'm at like 22 years of being a creator since I graduated from school, and the last year has been my best year. So in order to get there, I basically had to be a little bit more disciplined, and I had to commit to learning some of my shortfalls, which I knew like audio and video and some of my pictures and stuff were things that I kind of sucked at. So I was like, well, let's try that and try and get better at that. Invested a little bit in the equipment and really tried to see what was going on and put out like a positive vibe, and it worked for me. So.
Cool. Well, Bryan, really appreciate you stopping by and talking with us today.
Thank you. Cheers.
Nice. All right.